All right, so what we're going to do, this is an introduction to programming. So we need to sort of start defining, well, what separates Year 10 programming to Year 11 programming to Year 12 programming. So and that's what we're sort of going to be looking at today. I'm going to make some videos available to you that I think are really important, that set a baseline, and we'll be visiting different sort of aspects of this course. One thing that I find with programming is it does take time. It's something that you can't do in 5 seconds. Once we start coding, in a way, you're going to be spending an hour or more coding. Now, we've got to set some parameters on that. One of the first things I'm going to say to you, if you're working on a problem for more than 20 minutes, save it, leave it. Because it's no use sitting there for 3 hours bashing your head against the wall when either A, you're completely on the wrong track, or B, I could fix it in 5 seconds. Because you could sit there for 3 hours and not get the problem solved. What does that mean? Well, for 3 hours, you could have been doing other subjects. Okay? And I would prefer you to be up to date with your 3 other subjects. So you go, okay, I'm programming tonight, I had to get this task done. I've sat there, I've done this, I've done that, I worked on this problem for 20 minutes, and in total I've done about 40 minutes of IT for homework, and I just can't solve this problem. Save it, leave it. Because then when you come in the next day, I can say, oh, here is the problem, and you can get it done and you're free, etc. But that means you can save and leave it and be quite confident, say, okay, it's all right, I'll get it sorted tomorrow. And then you can go on with your other homework, get your other 3 subjects done. Then you're up to date. So the next day when the problem is solved, if you've got a free during the day, there's 40, 50 minutes there you can work on and finish it. You know, and that might be just the catalyst, and another 10 minutes, boom, you're done. So being organised and up to date is a key thing, because if all your other subjects are organised, it gives you time to work on one subject. Where if they're not organised and you're trying to solve this problem, like it's like sitting down doing a massive geography assignment one night and not doing the other subjects. When you go meet English, you get kicked for not doing your homework. You go to history, you get kicked for not doing it. You go to chem, you get kicked for not doing it. Where if you do those 3 subjects, then work on your geography, then you're not going to get in trouble in all your subjects. So it's about just prioritising correctly. So that's what I'm saying to you. My suggestion and my sort of rule of thumb is, you have to do about half an hour, 40 minutes of homework. If it takes any longer than 20 minutes to solve a problem, then just leave it. And sometimes while you're working on another subject, the penny drops. That's what I need to do. So you finish that, go back to your program, boom, and it works fine. So it's all about that management, and if you stay balanced in that, you'll be fine. But like I said, the longest part, I think, with IT is coding. And it can be an audacious and hard and tough thing, depending on what you're trying to chew, you know. So we try to keep things simple, and we always build from basic blocks. You know, it's like I always have reference programming like Lego. You know, if you want to build a house, you've got to start with the floor. Okay, obviously, if you pick out one of those mats that's, you know, 200 by 200, a big mat, obviously you can build a big house. If you pick out a small mat, it's a small house. So the way you start and the way you approach things, you know if it's going to be a big project or a little project. So it's about being balanced in that. So always do that. So know what you're getting into first. I will never ever write sort of code for you. I'll debug code for you. But I won't sit there and go, oh, what do you want it to do? Okay, and I'll sit there and I'll write it for you. That will never happen. If you come talk to me like in the past, I'll write it on a piece of paper. I'll discuss your code. You can print your code out, bring it to me, and I'll write on that and draw arrows and bits of code and get it through your head. Then you go back and you code. All right? Because you have to replicate that in an exam. You have to replicate that in a skills test. If I do it for you, then you're going to get to those tests and you're just going to bomb out. Okay? Now, as a group, we've got to work out how we're going to go through programming. If you get stuck and you've got a free, you can always come and crash my lessons. Okay? So it doesn't matter if I'm in here with the Year 10 class or with the Year 11s, or, you know, if I'm teaching Year 11 electronics, it's a little bit different if I'm doing a prac. But generally, if any of my IT classes and I'm in this room, come and join me. You know, you can actually sit in the room and just work quietly. All right, my Year 11 class is a small class, so you can come down and work during that time. And you might even elect just to sit where you are now, because they're on the machines on the side. And you can sit there and just work on your IT, and I'm here to go, oh, just do this, or you haven't done that right. So you can get that reference point. I don't mind if you want to do that. Sometimes it's a really good thing, because if you've got a study period, you know if you sit upstairs in the study room, you're not going to get any work done. Before you know it, you're playing Halo and your mates are all there chatting to you, or you're in the quad, or you're down the IGA. So if you want to get some work done, you could actually schedule, I'm going to go work in the computer lab there, and that's okay. You don't have to get green card signed or anything like that. So, and also it's great if you're in the class and we're doing programming, because sometimes you can actually say to the kids, oh, you've got to do this, oh, you've done that wrong. And that helps reinforce your knowledge as well by debugging other kids' code. So the more you're exposed to it, the more help and the more practice you get, the better coder you are. To me, it's like writing stories. The more stories you write, the better writer you become. The more code you write, the better coder you become. You know, and so we're all relatively at the same level of coding experience. So we've got to work from that. So it's really important that you do that. All right. So that's our sort of introduction to what we're trying to achieve. The major things. We have a project we need to do. That is a code-based program. We've also got 1, 2, 3 skills tasks to do. 2 of them are practicals. 1 of them is a theory-based one. So you actually have to write code under, you know, sort of under test conditions. So some of that is manipulating code, changing code, and altering bits and pieces. So be aware of that. But let's start at the start.